Growing up in the day school system, there were certain times when our teacher said, we're going to skip that pasuk, or let's read over that section. One of those instances is in our Parsha this week. The episode of Reuven and Bilhah. The Torah reads, Vayhi bishkon Yisrael ba'aretz hahi. Right after Rachel dies, Yaakov stays in that area. Vayelech Reuven vayishkav et Bilhah pilegesh aviv. Reuven goes and lies with Bilhah, his father's concubine. Vayishma Yisrael, Yaakov hears, unclear exactly what the resonance of that word means. Vayihiu b'nei Yaakov shneim asar, and the Torah concludes after a little break within that pasuk to say that Yaakov still had 12 sons. There is so much about this pasuk that deserves unpacking. The piece that we will focus on right now is that this episode makes the list in Masechet Megillah of episodes that nikra'in velo mitargamin, that should be read in the public Kriyat HaTorah, but not translated, which was the common practice back in the day, that each pasuk, after it was read in the original, would be translated into the Aramaic so that everyone would understand it, and it would be a form of education to the masses. This list in Megillah is actually broken into two. There are a list of unseemly episodes like the rape of Amnon and of Tamar, of Yehuda and Tamar, of Lot and his two daughters, which we might have thought should be read but not translated. But indeed, the rabbis say those should be translated. However, the Maaseh Reuven and Bilhah is on the second part of that list, or we could call it a second list of episodes that should not be translated so as not to be broadcast to the masses. Rabbi Lamb, in his drasha entitled Sincerely Yours, writes that this smacks of hypocrisy. Is not the suppression of the truth hypocrisy, and is not every instance of hypocrisy deplorable? Why should an exception be made by this story of Reuven? Why should it be left untranslated? Rabbi Lamb suggests that not every act of insincerity is unhealthy. When we are hypocritical in a way that we give the impression that we are different or better than we actually are, in an instance of personal gain or to create a favorable image, that is a foul act. But to refrain from telling all I know to be true, either because I'm unsure how that truth will be interpreted, or out of respect for the sensitivity and feeling of others, that's an act of civility, not hypocrisy. And so thus, in the affair of Reuven, there were many mitigating factors and various interpretations, like the one that Rashi brings, that we shouldn't be taking this episode literally, but rather it points to the beds being rearranged in order to save dignity for Reuven's mother Leah. Because there are a variety of interpretations, a direct translation into the vernacular could be misleading and cause much misunderstanding. Rabbi Lamb concludes and says that it is an aveira to lie, but it is no mitzvah to tell all I know, even if it is the truth. Of course, being hypocritical and insincere is something that needs to be done with great discretion and great discernment. The context, the factors that are in play are subjective in each and every situation. And it should not be something that is done routinely and certainly never for the wrong reasons. But of course, we all understand that sometimes there are other values at stake, and that the trade-off of being too open can have the trade-off can be not worth it. So with that lesson in mind, I'll wish everyone a Shavua Tov and look forward to hearing your thoughts about this episode and the existence of healthy hypocrisy.